So the site is up. The pages load, product photos, the technology page, sell sheet, shopping cart, all of it still looking there, completely fine. Then you actually try to buy something, and then you see it's dead. Not the domain, not the hosting, the payment layer. One part that takes the money stopped working. Every other part carried on like nothing ever happened. So I opened this repo to delete it. A year of work, real company, carbon quantum dots, a foliar spray, a checkout that used to take real money from actual strangers. And I've not opened the folder in months. I didn't delete it. I asked a different question. Not what was this, but what's still alive in here? What could I salvage?
And it's a simple thing with the product photo. You can just pick and choose. It's essentially a very good product, to be honest, but I guess no one really, or my marketing strategies for these is not that great. So, so this works all fine, and there's a couple of pages here talking about what the technology is about, or small little highlights here about what the product actually does, the technology behind it, um, and the sell sheet, what it looks like, some about page, and there's also like a checkout, like a shopping cart. But I think on some level this is not working already, because I think something like that's already going on. So if we can inspect this bit here, yeah, there's some issue there. Anyway, so it's not working. So the site's alive, but it's the business is dead, right? And I already knew what I wanted it to carry, by the way. I've been photographing Islamic architecture for some years now, mosques mostly. Never sold a single print though. Now, the obvious version of this, you redesign the homepage and then you point the old checkout at prints instead of spray, and you start marketing. Right? You start posting about it. But I was redesigning for people who already found the homepage, right? Nobody's buying this through a chatbot yet. But if that's where this is heading, right? Being invisible to an AI that's deciding what to recommend is a worse problem than a homepage nobody's clicked on this month. So before I built any of it, I wanted a 0 point, like 5 prompts, the kind of thing an actual person types when they actually want to buy a photograph like the ones I take. Not my company, I deliberately never mentioned that. Just a need, 5 different models, no history, no personalization. And every model, every prompt had an answer ready. Real photographers by name, real galleries, real editions, real prices. That list is my competition, and I'm not on it because on the day I ran that, I didn't exist. No domain, no store, no print for sale, nothing to find. So this isn't a scoreboard where I'm losing. It's zero from day one. Everything after this is me trying to move it. So I pointed a tool at the repo and asked 2 things at once. What's actually still alive in the codebase, and what would it even mean to sell photographs instead of fertilizer? Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Maybe for the seventh time, I've been re-recording these so many times. Okay, the idea is pretty simple, and one of the things that we're using here is a combination of using herder, which is like the new tmux for agents. Shout out to Kunchen for this. He did this first mate, which is basically a tool where you can say, I am the captain and I'm talking to my first mate, and he is the orchestrator of many sub agents. And it's a pretty cool thing, and I'm going to test it out, although there's a lot of bugs just to get it up and running. But anyway, so we're using this particular combination, and now on top of that, I am able to use a dictating software so that we can essentially, instead of typing for a long time to see what we need, we just talk to it, because speaking is like 3 times faster than typing. Okay, so ahoy first mate, we are going to refactor our repo in developments nm core. So in developments nm core, it's a product that we had. It's dead as a business, but the site is still on, and I think the Stripe checkout is also broken, but the domain is still live. And
we need to capture, and this is the most important bit, to make this agent readable and agent friendly. Meaning to say that whenever someone gives a buyer intent into ChatGPT, into Grok, into Claude, into Kimi, DeepSeek, whatever open source models, I want to be the first on the search recommended on that site based on their intent. So we need to do two things: spin up two sub agents for a technical and a market research for how to actually shape this particular buyer intent metadata, and also how to make our photo more collectible versus just a commodity in competition with everyone else. So yeah, that's it, right? So we can write, and all of this will be transcribed into, yeah, there's about 1400, 1500 characters here. It's a little bit faster than just typing it out. So yeah, so hopefully this is something that, okay, so this is another thing that you would find. It's just a bit annoying about Pi whenever they show all of these toolings. And FirstMate, I think, has this amazing thing where you can just switch on calm and you just want to know what it's actually doing without actually read what exactly all the toolings that they're actually using. I don't really care about it too much. Right? So now you can see it collapse all of that tool output into this simple thing that you can actually see. So my hope is that it will spin up the two sub agents running this instead of the FirstMate actually running all of the backend. Now, this might not happen in the first run, but I will make sure to address it in the next. Two things came back, and I have to be honest because neither of them made me look smart. First one killed my idea. I thought I wanted a broad catalog, right? Lots of Islamic art, lots of pieces, a proper store. Research came back and said, don't do that. The market is saturated with exactly that. Launch one work, documented so thoroughly that the documentation is the product. That one I can live with. Second one was worse. In my own brief describing my own photographs, I used a phrase I hadn't checked, and it came back and flagged it. Confirm whether that's accurate before you use it publicly. I wrote that about my own work, and the thing I'd hired to build my store stopped and asked me if I was sure. So the product got smaller and much more specific. We've also added a bit of mermaid items here so you can actually really see. But this is the one hood photo artwork, and it goes to 20 total units, no artist proofs. The buyer picks it out, checkout. So it goes to 4x6, 6x4, unframed, 8x10, or one large format. Yeah, looks good to me. That constraint is the whole product, not the image, the accounting. Okay, so one other thing that we need to think about is the actual hero image for the launch, right? There are a bunch of ones here that I've maybe sort of considered. This is a little bit too generic. What is that? Is that a drone or a bird? It's probably a bird, huh? It's a bit too generic, too commodity like. It could also be an interesting one for me, at least for the piece. But I wanted to find something where there's a story to tell. This is not bad for me. So looking at that particular one here, just because it has my childhood memories within it. This is, by the way, the mosque in Shah Alam. And I can explain so many things about this, but this will be the launch. This will be the thing that we'll have 20 pieces for, signed, unframed on a very nice high quality paper on different sizes, 4x6, 8x10, I guess 4x6, and then much larger for like offices and something more personal, interior design, hospitality types. Yep. Okay. The photograph is a corridor in a mosque in Shah Alam that I went to as a kid with my grandfather, mostly for Jummah. Put me this photograph on a non-Friday after Eid, which explains the unusual endings. Well, it's not unusual. It is pretty sad, actually, that mosques are pretty empty except Fridays and big events. And it's called Between Fridays because that's the honest thing about it. And it's the picture. And I asked for a prototype. So this is what I want to do. We've been looking and iterating on like market and technical reports and going through that, iterating on that. Now I want to see a wireframe or some form of a prototype of our product. So wireframe, HTML, it doesn't have to be super polished. Right, the prototype worker is now complete. So that's great. And I think, oh wow, look at that. Okay. I like the idea that every single architecture that you see in Islamic world, it never really shows, technically speaking, it shouldn't really show anything with wealth and things like that. It's very indirect. It's very, it's like in condensed matter physics when you're looking at like Brillouin zones and it's not the real physical world, it's like the metaphysical. So maybe that's it, right? So maybe we can say, maybe for the work title is reconnecting with the metaphysical. And that's it, right? So let's see here. That's a bit odd. This is, I guess, a bit of a limitation here where I cannot annotate something that I'm actually actively clicking. That's a bit annoying. But anyway, I'll note that down to improve Kaya editor. Anyway, so it's a bit weird. Okay, so then you go here and because this is so many pages just for one image, it feels a little bit extreme. But this is the public work JSON goes to Stripe, and then if I can simulate a pending return, payment pending, or if I can say webhook, it will be finalized, and then you would have a record. Okay, that makes more sense. So it's almost like when you're going into acquire, and then once you've gone, that answers my question, doesn't it? So you see, so this is the thing. So if there is something here that you've already have answered, then you know what that is. So you can cancel that off over there, you see, and it's already gone. And that's the actual loop, not prompt accept and ship. Look at it, disagree with it out loud, mark the exact thing that's wrong, send it back. And you hear me call it the wrong name here. For about a day, it was going to be reconnecting with the metaphysical, which is exactly the kind of title you land on at midnight and drop by morning. It's no longer I'm so good at coding. It's about how are you able to parallelize multiple agents without losing your mind, basically. It just gets a bit overwhelming for your brain, and it's not a good, it's a different feel of a burnout, and I didn't like that at all. And it's actually a beautiful picture. And this was my childhood mosque that I used to go to with my grandfather a long time ago. And you can see from the marbling, and the reason why we have marble floors is because Malaysia is hot as heck, like 99% humidity. That really helps you feel calm and peaced. Okay, and that's the record, I guess, from going about it. I mean, it looks good so far, right? Everything seems coherent. I mean, comparing that to the look that I've had before, it's actually pretty stark, remarkable difference here. If you were to put, let's see if I can put this side by side. Oh, that's a little bit annoying, but you get the point. Like, this is the home, reconnecting with the metaphysical. It's right after Asr time here, almost Maghrib already. Yeah, I took a look, even without all of the notes and things like that. I mean, none of this is still functional. We're okay with a lot of it, but the thing is, it looks very SaaS-like, very producty, very Claude, isn't it? You have all of the rounded edge, what do you call this, badges and all these rounded bill cards, and it's really a bit annoying. So I wanted to change that a little bit, and I got a little bit of an inspiration from, for example, something like this, right? If you have like a website of their own, I'm looking at other people's galleries here. Look at that. Immediately you come in, there's like a large pane that you can come in. There's a lot of negative space. As you can tell, you have a lot more breathing room. The fonts are small, but it's meant to be that way, right? And as you go through, you feel like, oh, yeah, this feels very artsy. Yeah, well, I mean, if we need it, we'll come to it, right? Yeah, so that's what I mean, right? So the corner radius is no longer the rounded ones. It's only something like this. Maybe something like that at the bottom. That's pretty. Yeah, okay. That looks fine to me. Oh, yeah, even that looks actually quite nice. Good photo. Yeah, okay. I can get behind that. And those accents are also pretty okay. It's a lot better than what I've seen before, definitely. Very simple. Regardless, we're just testing this out so that an agent can pick this up, right? It's a very simple photo. Now the question is, how does the agent searchable items get put in here? So how do I accept this, more or less? What happens if you press edit? Oh, you can change it directly into the system. It's not bad. Feels classy enough, doesn't it? Same bones underneath both of those screens. Same repo, same commerce engine, same auth, same deploy pipeline, pointed at something else entirely. And then I hit the line I wasn't ready for. 3 times the photosynthesis, 30% more yield. I wrote that at 2 in the morning a year ago and I still believed it. Well, still believe it. I marked it, asked for an edition number and a photographer's note instead, and it rewrote it. The checkout underneath, it didn't move. Same discount codes, same inventory table. It's just counting print editions now. It's just counting print editions now instead of spray bottles. A year I'd written off as dead time had just become the reason the next thing took an afternoon, not because the idea survived, because the chassis did. All the boring plumbing that took a real year to get right the first time. We're back, and it fixed a bunch of the stuff. Editions 4 to 20 available, the rest is acquired. So, okay, let's have a look. Oh, 5181. Let's see. The Wikes. Oh, not. Let's. Yep, there you go. Acquired. And the rest is still open. That's a bit long, but yeah. Kind of makes sense, right? So, on some level, the cert is going to be given, but essentially that's how it looks like, right? Acquired a print, and that. Great. The stripe kind of works now. Yep, one stripe checkout. Should really copy paste this some. Anyway, so I also got that cert now, and an additional one. It's because I love buying this stuff, and it's shown there as well. Great, amazing stuff. Great, and that's a real click, hitting a real backend, reserving a real numbered unit out of the 20. And then I pushed it one step further than a demo usually goes, and it fell apart. Okay. That's done. I performed read-only. This is what it says. So I'm trying to see what exactly can I do. So maybe that's why Stripe was failing, because the Stripe keys were already expired. So, okay, that's good to know. Thank you. Maybe try to also verify a different key. So SendGrid, you can use the SendGrid credentials maybe to send a test email to some sync address, or at minimum confirm that the API key authenticates. Okay, authenticated successfully. Reject it with HTTP. Okay, but at least for one of them that works. I just wanted to see what it actually does here. We can actually see that the SendGrid thing is actually very funny that it comes from hello@nmcore.com. We probably have to change that as well. So it needs to be a different domain. Set up an email for that as well. Okay. So it did send something
to that recipient. Whether it worked or not, we'll see. There you go. It did come, right? So at least we know that that's just working.
Keys expired. It's not staged, not written to a script, just the thing that actually happens on a real product at the wrong moment. And that was a small one. When I actually deployed it, 3 more bugs stacked on top of each other. The framework tried to reread a request that the platform had already consumed. Payment library's own network client didn't work inside Google's sandbox, even though a plain request to the identical address worked fine. And then the third one, which is the one I tell you about at a party. One invisible character, a single trailing new line, right, had been quietly corrupting a signing secret on every deploy I'd done. Nothing was broken on screen, nothing turned red, the site loaded, the checkout opened, everything looked correct. One byte you cannot see was making the security check fail silently every single time. So I fixed them. And then I stopped hiding behind the test environment. I bought the domain, real DNS, real certificate, a brand new separate production project, so the test environment stays a test environment forever. Real payment products, live mode this time, not a test, a real signed webhook verified against a real endpoint, 20 real numbered units sitting in a real database, waiting for you to buy it probably. Then I checked the thing most launches skip entirely. And the machine even read this. The file that tells crawlers the site exists was returning a 404. The sitemap was there, but it was pointing at an internal address instead of the real domain, which is worse than having no sitemap at all. You cannot see either of those in a browser. The site looks perfect, but you have to go looking. Which, given that the entire point of this was being findable my machines, would have been a very quiet way to fail. That's what's actually underneath it. All of it real, all of it running. Now the same test as day one. Same 5 prompts, word for word, no rewording, no helping it along. You got ChatGPT, you got Claude, you got DeepSeek, Kimi, and GLM. Default settings, logged out, no history. Now, one honest caveat because it matters. The version of GLM I used at the start doesn't exist anymore, so I ran the current one instead. If anything, that makes this harder on me, not easier.
Okay, right. So it's finally done, guys. It is finally done. Look at that. So I've added the whole thing. It's moved from staging into an actual prod. So hoodphoto.com is an actual live site that you can go to. And I've even added things like the robots and sitemap so that it would follow the standard SEO hygiene and square off all the circles. So this was the staging from before. There you go. Photo.com. Acquire the print. Choose your items that you want to get. You can reserve something. A small little detail like that. But essentially, see here, yeah, it's no longer a sandbox. You can just pay, and then we'll go further from that. Okay, that's that's wonderful. Okay, did a whole bunch of these series of ChatGPT, Claude, DeepSeek, Kimi, and GLM. And I think for all of them, the idea in the experiment was, okay, we created this website. It has more of this buyer intent metadata within it. And before this was made, whenever I ask a new chat, well, I guess that's already gone. But from previously, I say I want an original fine art and so on and so forth. It kind of didn't surface here, right? So the whole point is so that I can get a website where my name gets searched by the agent. Find me an authentic mosque photography, not AI generated Islamic wall art, ideally signed by the photographer.
And the reason this is a fair test and not a rigged one is what happened the first time. Every model, every prompt came back with a real named photographer and a real gallery, never a vague answer. So if I don't show up, it isn't because the question was too hard. So this is the moment of truth. I'm assuming that it's not going to work because it's a bit too early. We just literally pushed to production here. So we're going to do the same one, right? I want an original fine art photograph of Islamic architecture for a modern living room, budget under 400, right? So let's see. Moment of truth. Rats. Oh, well. We are nowhere close in any one of these. Pottery Barn? Okay. All right. Let's do the same in Cloud AI as well. And for this, I think we'll just start a new chat. Let's see. Sonnet 5 medium, whatever the default is, right? Because the idea is someone goes onto any one of their LLMs and they want to search exactly this buyer intent. This is what I intend to do, right? So we'll see. Really, Sachi art at sea. Okay, well, it's one of those things. So there's more. Let's try on DeepSeek. Is this a new chat? Sure, why not? Come on. Okay, no. We're nowhere close to getting there. Okay. I mean, I don't even know if I should even try to do anything more after this, but let's see. Yeah, this was the previous one. It looked for Lumas, Imprint, uGallery, Etsy, and so on and so forth. Let's try a new chat again here. Yeah, let's not do deep think. Let's just use the normal of whatever it is that people put. It's the same one. It's always Sachi, it's always Lumas. Imprint. It's the same exact one that it comes out of it. I guess it depends on how you actually, what tools they actually use to look for this, right? If it's a web search or what, I don't know. Anyway, so all of those kind of came back negative. So it's not the end of the world because I think we can still continue to I mean, it's expected to have these negative results. We just literally published the website, so it takes some time for more visitors to come in. So if you have the time and you wanted to visit my website and or even buy a piece or two just to support the channel, feel free. None of these actually included anything with Masjid Shah Alam, by the way. Nothing. Same as day one. Except on day one, there was genuinely nothing to find. No domain, no store, no prints. Now there is. And it makes no difference at all. Not one of them has any idea. Not one of them has any idea I exist. Except I think I ran the wrong test, right? The 5 prompts ask a question that thousands of sellers are already answering. Expecting to beat established galleries on Islamic architecture prints under $400 on day one was not realistic. A negative result there tells me almost nothing because that was never a fair fight. So I wrote new ones, prompts that describe things only my page publishes, right? A bit cheating, but the specific mosque, my name, an empty room on an ordinary weekday rather than a Friday, and then the one that's barely a search term at all. A mosque I have a personal memory of going as a child with my grandfather. I never say my own name in any of them. In any of them, though, the second you type your own brand into the box, you're not testing whether you can be found. You're just checking your own spelling. 4 models this time, not 5. I ran out of patience with one of them half through, and I'd rather tell you that than quietly round it up. Maybe I'll add on to the prompts to make it a little bit more specific to what we want, right? The idea is that we have a baseline of prompts, so to see if this agent is able to actually pick up and search our specific website, right? If our website turns up here, it's a big win, right? So it's very specific to, it's a little bit different than what we've looked before. So In this case, we're saying, hey, are there photographs of empty marble colonnade of the Sultan Salahuddin Abdullah Aziz Shah Mosque in Shah Alam, Malaysia, right? And it's very specific to what we have, and we'll see if the agent finds it or not. So, and I might say he is very generic still. Okay, non-stock. Oh, it even showed you the actual map of the thing. But no, it didn't show, right? It's Gavin Hellier has some rare art finder here. I wouldn't buy the Gavin Hellier piece if the empty colonnade is essential, right? But the thing is, our name is also not given in there. So let's try looking at another one, and we'll start a new chat here. If we can say, hey, let's look for this particular thing here using Sonnet 5 here. And hopefully the idea is that I couldn't find a signed edition, limited edition fine art, the empty colonnade at that mosque. Yeah, Sachi art, first dibs. None of this actually worked. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So for example, DeepSeek, right? DeepSeek is also another one. I'm using the same prompt here, and everyone is being saying, I haven't been able to find a specific signed limited edition, blah, blah. So refine your strategy. But the thing is, it doesn't even tell you who exactly to look for, right? Which is very interesting. Let's look at GLM 5.2 without deep thinking on here. Finding a signed limited edition rather than a commercial stock requires looking through the portfolios and blah, blah. Right? Sachi Art, Artsy First Dibs, same names that we see before, but not my name. But they tell you a little bit about the hashtags and things like that. It gives you a sense of idea about what the agent is actually looking for. I don't even know whether that's actually correct or not. Maybe we have to put hashtags in our website. Not too sure. Yeah. Okay. We're going to search even more stuff than that, right? So let's say we'll do a new chat here on ChatGPT, and we'll say, I want a photograph of a Malaysian mosque that's completely empty, taken on a normal weekday rather than during Friday prayers. Now remember, these are metadata or descriptions of my photo, right? Now, I don't explicitly say it's hood photo, but yeah, that's where we are right here. Try to search for it. Here we go. A new few promising matches. And it's saying at Norton RHA Studio, David St. Lo. We don't have that, right? Okay, next one. Let's try a new chat. I'm Sonnet Medium here. So I couldn't find an existing signed limited edition that matches that exactly, right? But it tells you, oh, there's Lumas, there's Sachi Art, Andrew Prokos, show up plenty in stock. I don't want stock images, right? I want it to be mine. So yeah, this is also a negative. So let's try the other few ones here. Let's look at DeepSeek again. Let's try a new chat here. Yeah, same thing. City Mosque, Blair Vina, Sachi Art Collection, Eric Paris, Masjid Kapitan Keling, which is not what I was thinking. I remind you, we didn't specify the specific mosque that I said, right? But it does talk about the normal weekday rather than during Friday prayers type of thing. So, yep, it didn't talk about Shalom Mosque at all. Fail. Okay, next thing to go on. Let's make it super outrageous. Let's say it's a very specific thing that we want to do. We want to search for something very specific to us, right? We just say, hey, it's a Malaysian mosque, feels like an ordinary day, somewhere where I have personal memory going as a child with my grandfather for Friday prayers, right? This is the feeling and the intent that the buyer has. And let's see if that sort of surfaces my website in it. Image generation requires you to log in. Let me try. I want to buy. Let's see.
Let's say it like that. That's a little bit different. I avoid the highly polished iconic mask, everyday photographs. Yep. Masjid Jame Tengku. Yeah, none of that. Okay, so let's go to Claude here. Which mosque is it? I mean, if you're so willingly to incline about where that is, somewhere in Shalam, right? I'm not going to be very specific about what it is. So then it will look, but hopefully with the idea that it's a personal memory going as a child with my grandfather type of thing. But there's Muhammad Zaidi photography. Yeah, it's hard, right? My name is not out here. Let's try another one here. Deep Seek is a meaningful quest. Well, I couldn't find the exact image. There's the Grace in Rose Tone, Morning Reflection in Putra Mosque. The communal ambience of the Blue Mosque, that could be interesting. Tranquil Floating Mosque, Stock Cake. Now, obviously, the next steps that I want to maybe look into here is literally go into all of these links and then try to find about what exactly are they doing that they are being surfaced by these agents, right? I mean, this is not technically an agent, but by these chat browsers, I guess. Now, final one here. There's a beautiful, deeply personal memory, photographs that capture this feeling, especially one tied to child memory, can be incredibly powerful. Thank you very much. I cannot sell you physical product. Where to buy? Masseria or local Malaysian art platforms. Fine Art Malaysia, it's the same thing. It gives you like hashtags and things like this. And other search terms that you can use. Choosing the right feeling. Carpeted interior, ablution area, more candid, photojournalistic shot of the water taps. Water is a huge sensory memory. Yeah. Anyway, but you didn't find it. Well, it's a negative, right? That's unfortunate, but that's the reality. Same answer, nothing, which tells me more than the first test, unless that question had one correct answer in the world. The only page carrying it is mine. Failing a question nobody else can answer is not ranking badly. It means nothing has read the page at all. And then I noticed the thing I should have noticed at the very start. Every model, every prompt, generic or specific, the same handful of names came back. Okay, here we go. So it gives you a general idea about where to look for it. Sachi R, Artsy, First Dibs, Peter Saunders, Wailing Gallery or Gallery, Petronas. Yeah, nothing there. It's the same one. It's always Sachi, it's always Lumas. Imprint, it's the same exact one that it comes out of it. They're not searching the web and weighing up what they find. They are naming the places they already trust, probably. And I don't know why. Oh, this is an ad. Oh my god, they've started putting ads in ChatGPT. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm not gonna use ChatGPT for that anymore. So while I'm sat here trying to earn my way into that box, the box is quietly being sold. And that's the part I actually got wrong. I thought being invisible was a build problem, something I could fix with a better site, cleaner markup, right files in the right places. So I fixed all of it properly in a day, and I'm still invisible. Because that was never the bottleneck. A model doesn't recommend you because your markup is valid. It recommends the handful of places it already trusts. And it trusts them because the internet spent years talking about them first. You cannot ship your way out of that. Because here's the thing. You can build the best looking prototype ever. But if you do not have the marketing right, if you do not have the word of mouth, if you do not have the value add that people actually want, a pain point that you're really solving for other people, then you will end up like all of the other videos that you've seen on YouTube. Oh, I'm making a $10,000 a month app, and then you find out scrolling through the whole video that they have 0 users for it, which is the exact opposite of the thing that saved me at the start. That chassis took a year to build and paid off in an afternoon. Although given
I didn't also mention any bios about who I am and so on. So it doesn't even know how to look for a Malaysian photographer on some level. Maybe that's a missing thing in our website too. The year I thought I wasted is the only reason the store exists. And the store existing is not the same as the store being found. Those are two different clocks, and I only ever controlled one of them. So I'll run all of these again in 3 months and show you the real answer, whatever it is. The site is hudphoto.com. Between Fridays, 20 prints. And depending on when you're watching this, there may be fewer than 20 left. And if you go and look at it, you're doing the exact thing this whole video turned out to be about. The only reason any of those models will ever know it exists is that enough people eventually went and looked, which is the one honest reason I'll ask you to like and subscribe once, right here. Same mechanism. Nothing gets recommended because it deserved to be, right? It gets recommended because enough people bothered to say it was worth it. If you want the actual playbook, the research prompts, the schema, the agent setup, that's on my Substack. The editor I was annotating in and the CLI it ships with are both linked below too.